Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. As you all know, today is the virtual demo for the FoundersDoor program. My name is Kweku Dapper. I'm a program manager here at YSYS. So yeah, really, we're here today to just celebrate the progress and the successes of our latest cohort of the program. Some of you may have a bit of context behind the program, may have been involved in it in some capacity, maybe friends or family of some of the founders, maybe part of the wider YSYS community, or this may be your first time. You may have saw a tweet from one of us and just thought, okay, I'm curious, let me join. Regardless of how you kind of heard about us, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to just give a little bit of an intro behind FoundersDoor, and then we will essentially move on to the pictures, which is the juicy part of what we're here to see. So a little bit of context behind FoundersDoor. So FoundersDoor is a pre-accelerator for diverse founders, which was kicked off by YSYS. And the main aim of FoundersDoor is essentially to get early stage startups from concept to validation. Before I go into talk a little bit more about that, YSYS. So YSYS starts for Your Startup, Your Story. We're a startup community for founders and different players in the startup ecosystem who are on a mission to make a difference. So you may have heard the kind of inception story of YSYS is a really cool one that really inspired me when I actually joined last year. So Deborah O'Kenla, who many of you will know, started YSYS from a WhatsApp group. Literally just kind of friends and contacts she made whilst working in the startup world. And over time, it grew just because people were really in demand of a community space, particularly those from diverse backgrounds where they were, minorities within their industry, within their firms, and they wanted to share experiences and share opportunities so that they can support each other in their journeys. And over time, more and more people have joined, and the organization and the community has grown to a stage where we now actually design and deliver programs, FoundersDoor obviously being one of them. We work with employees to create events that attract and engage diverse talent. We design campaigns for organizations who want to engage with a more diverse audience over a sustained period of time, and to work with more, or to have more diverse talent within their organizations. And in that capacity, we also help to deliver really tailored action plans so that organizations that do want to improve their diversity within their workforce can also do so in a very practical way. So the problem that kind of creates the necessity for YSYS and the FoundersDoor program is the fact that the tech scene and the tech startup scene, even in London, is very lacking in diversity, essentially. So it's very unrepresentative of the vast diversity within the city of London. It is nearly kind of 50% people from ethnic minority backgrounds in London. However, the startup scene in London doesn't really reflect that. So a couple of numbers: even the best performing tech accelerators and investment readiness programs in London only have around 10% women within their cohorts, and only about 20% BAME founders in their cohorts, which is obviously a huge discrepancy from what we should expect in such a progressive and diverse city. And it's something that we really need to be working on. And that is why FoundersDoor comes into play. So just to take a little bit of step back, for those of you who are on the webinar, please, if you are tweeting, and I do encourage you to tweet and share on what that you're participating in this program. The hashtag is FoundersDoor. So any tweets, any questions, any comments, any kind of quotes that inspire you, if you want to talk about the teams and what they're doing and you find really interesting, make sure to hashtag FoundersDoor and tag YSYS. This is YSYS. So FoundersDoor, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, is the first pre-accelerator for women and BAME founders in the UK. And that again harks back to the fact that you know, these are demographics that are criminally underserved within the space. The way FoundersDoor works is that it is a 6-week pre-accelerator with a particular focus again on women and BAME individuals and within a younger demographic, so between the ages of 18 and 24, all based in London. And the key aim is something that has developed over time. It was essentially quite a blank canvas to begin with, but we realized that for people that are very kind of early in their startup journeys, the key thing that they want to do is actually validate their ideas. So a lot of people have a general idea, something pops into their heads, they might realize that there's some type of gap in the market, or there is an issue that they face in their personal lives or within the community, and they want to essentially create a solution for that problem. However, many times they don't know what are the kind of first steps to bring this into fruition. And one of the key things and one of the key killers of great ideas is the fact that people don't validate them. They don't check to see whether or not there is a market for the product. They don't check to see whether the solution itself is suitable for the market they want to get to, or is the right kind of iteration of the product itself, etc. So this is what the program essentially tries to do. Through the course of 6 weeks, you go through various educational workshops and practical skills and steps which allow you to go through the process of validating. And through that, our main agenda outside of that is to just boost the confidence and networking skills of all of the founders in our cohort. FoundersDoor is an initiative which is part of the digital talent program, which is started by the London Mayor, and essentially is based on the fact that, and is already currently the case, but the digital space is so key to the future of the UK economy. So just prepping and ensuring that the younger demographic have those skills and are able to take advantage of the growth of the tech space in the coming future. This is just a picture of the first cohort after their demo, which we did in Google Startups in Old Street. Just a few figures on the impact we've had so far. So over the last 2 cohorts we've had, it's been 88% BAME, 50% female, 4 founders in full-time tech jobs post-program. We've had 2 startups secure some grant funding. 1 startup was actually launched, or I should say is due to launch in about 8 days. Shout out Paris from That Good Hair. We have 3 startups in the pre-launch stage, still developing their MVPs. And we have 8 founders working part-time on their startups to this day, which is such a great result for us because, as we say, people are coming in from a host of different backgrounds, some that are, you know, university students currently, others who may be kind of 1 or 2 years within their careers, a lot of them having no kind of history or experience starting businesses. And the fact that so many success stories are coming from the first 2 cohorts, which only started a year ago, is a great indication of the impact that we can have in the future as well. So just a quick note on the design of the program. As you all know, the COVID-19 pandemic kind of put a span in the works for a lot of us, particularly those that manage and design programs. And just generally for most businesses who've had to adapt very quickly to the current circumstances. And that, of course, has affected us as well. So we have to quickly react to the situation. And essentially what we've done in the kind of virtual space is to create a self-directed course in which there's video lectures, in which the cohort can kind of go through the content at their own pace. Then there are live webinars on Saturdays. We consciously made the decision to run the program primarily on Saturdays, just because it allows as much accessibility as possible for the founders. They don't many of them work full time, and it allows them to still commit to the program whilst able to also fulfill all their other obligations, because rent needs to be paid. And is also it's kind of clear. Well, there's a discrepancy in the opportunities that are available, because a lot of programs do require you to either work full-time on your startup, which of course isn't possible for most people who don't have the finances to be able to kind of live off savings, for instance. One of the key things which makes the program work and offers benefit to the founders is the fact that they onboarded onto the YSYS community, which I've given you a bit of background about. It just means that they can expand their network, get in touch with people from the community who can support them in their within their startup journeys. We've had a founders panel discussion so that people from the community who are a bit further in their journeys, have raised investment, etc., can pass on their experiences. And there's an element of mentorship throughout the program. And we've had lovely mentors like Dama who will be joining on the panel, as well as a few others who can, again, give very tailored support during the course of the program and also subsequent to the program as well. And then a few socials, again, in this virtual world, not as fun as they've been in the past, but we've done a few kind of like quizzes on Zoom, which I'm sure some of you have adopted as well within your own work environments. And then of course you have the demo, which we're about to proceed with today. And just a quick one on the curriculum. So as I said, with the whole focus around validation, each week we touch on a topic which follows on from the previous week. So customer discovery is the focus for week 1, which then moves on to validation, building prototypes, testing and iteration, marketing essentials for startups, and then pitching and communicating the value. But there is still a lot more impact that we want to achieve. And our mission is to connect 100,000 diverse individuals to opportunities within the startup ecosystem by 2023. Call this the YSYS 2023 campaign. And I think Deborah will be able to give you a little bit of background around that shortly. But that is essentially what I wanted to share before we kick off, just again to give a bit more context around the program. So okay, there is there. I'll unmute you so that you can give a bit of background.
Awesome, thank you so much. I'm super excited for all the pitches, and thank you to everyone that's joining us today, and good luck to all the startups that pitched tonight. This is about you, so we just want to celebrate and recognize all the hard work that you put in over the past 6 weeks. So yeah, as Kwaku explained, over the past 3 years, we've managed to provide access to opportunities for over 10,000 diverse individuals, and we have bigger goals. I know Kwaku works so hard on the FoundersDoor program, and us as a team, we just want to make bigger impact and do more. So our goal is by 2023 to provide access to opportunities for over 100,000 diverse individuals. And what that means is more programs, more events, more opportunities, more socials, more outdoor socials once we're allowed to go back out, and also more impact. And so every 2 years we'll be tracking that impact, really showcasing the stories of our founders, the operators within our community, and the good work they're doing that will be visible on our website. But also that's also a call out to anyone that wants to do this with us, whether that is as a partner, whether that's as a supporter, or whether that's someone that's kind of benefiting from the program. We believe that kind of drive and this impact is a collective effort. And so if you want to join us on that 100,000, please do get in contact. If you want to be one of those individuals that are part of the 100,000, please do get in contact as well. I won't talk too much. We've got a lot to get through. I'm super excited. And I will take my camera off, but I will be here following the hashtag and enjoying the pictures. So thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Thanks for that. Cool. All right, guys. So I think let's just get straight into it. I'm really excited to see the pictures as well. I have seen, obviously I've been following the journey over the last 6 or 7 weeks. So I do have a good kind of deep dive into, I've had a good deep dive into the progress that these teams have made. It's been super exciting to see how much they were able to do in such a short period of time. So bear in mind, most of the founders actually met each other during the Founders Weekend event. So it was literally a weekend hackathon style event. They met each other the first time, formed a team, formed an idea, and from there have gone on to join the program and work on this idea together. So it's crazy to think that, 7 weeks ago these were complete strangers, and now they've gone on to create startups and hopefully proceed with those moving forward as well. So firstly, I'm just super proud of them and what they've been able to achieve. So we're going to kick off now, and I'd like to invite Socratic Learning, formerly known as Adapted, to join us on the panel to begin their pitch.
All right. My name is Ben, and I'm on the Socratic Learning team with Mohammed, Vamsi, and Gideon. Here at Socratic Learning, we are here to provide students with access to a personalized learning platform. Currently, as it stands, there are no affordable means for young students to precisely track their individual learning needs and personalize their learning, thus reducing their overall grades. Here is Noor, a GCSE student who is failing in algebra and doesn't know why. Her teacher fails to explain how she can improve, and Noor's parents cannot afford private tuition because of the high costs. To give the scope of the problem, 58% of GCSE students are not getting a strong pass in math and English and experiencing this problem together. For our solution, we were looking to bring an online platform that accurately assesses student ability, tracks student knowledge gaps, and recommends a personalized study plan. Our solution will enable students like Noor to measure her ability through intelligent, adaptive assessments, understand her ability through intuitive learning analytics, and improve her ability through a personalized study plan, resulting in overall better grades.
So our sophisticated assessment algorithm tailors the difficulty and the type of questions asked depending on Noor's responses to comprehensively pinpoint her strengths and weaknesses across the tiniest learning outcomes as defined by Ofqual. The reason it could do this is, unlike current assessment systems, it's able to understand responses beyond just an incorrect answer. For example, in this case, Noor is given an algebra question, and she answers it incorrectly, but the algorithm is able to tell that the reason why is because she struggles with multiplying negative integers. So then it follows up with another question to further explore her misconception. And it is apparent that Noor also struggles with subtracting negative integers. And it continues to do this until it can form a complete picture of Noor's knowledge. It then relays this information seamlessly to Noor, her teacher, and parents, allowing her to identify her strengths and weaknesses on a granular level and track her improvement across time, as we can see here. And more than that, it can use her current rate of progress and previous information about students to project what she can expect to achieve in the future. Here we can see Noor is well on track to achieving a really good grade. Notice that beyond just telling Noor that she's a B grade student, we're giving her very valuable information about where she's misperforming, namely here in algebra. And here we're also giving her information about the biggest reasons why she's not performing to the level that she can. It gives her constructive feedback and gives her information about fundamental knowledge gap that Noor needs to address, which will be particularly prominent given the current state of COVID in the future. The teacher can also use this to tailor the class to the students' weaknesses. And then after that, Noor can go back on the platform to measure her ability to see if she has addressed them. But more than that, we also use AI to design a personalized study plan for each and every student, given their strengths and weaknesses, to maximize the rate of improvement in the shortest possible amount of time. As we can see here, each of these circles represents a learning outcome. And of all the different ways that Noor can sequence her learning, it picks the perfect one to achieve the maximum grade.
Thank you for that, Mohammed. Now looking at the competitor analysis, we have a variety of features that we have in our platform and that we share with our competitors. Our closest competitors, as seen on the left, are Century and Sparks. Sparks offers a similar price range to us, but Century is a lot more expensive. But when you're looking at all the features, we do show a strength in our product, and this is where we believe we can play in this market. So if we go to the next slide, we look at the market size. So in terms of K-12 students, that's students between 5 and 16 years old that study in the UK. There's 8.7 million students, and obviously with a growing population of 2%, we can expect this to go higher and higher as time goes on. And around a quarter of these actually receive tuition. So 2.4 million students receive tuition, and out of those 2.4 million students that receive tuition, 1.9 million students actually receive tuition for a year or more, which actually totals the market value of £2 billion which we believe is amazing, and we look forward to enter the market with strength. And I'll go to the business model slide.
Thank you so much for that, Gideon. Our business model is very much in line with the problem that we're trying to solve, in that we want to democratize affordable personalized learning solution to all students, irrespective of their socio-economic background. And hence our subscription cost will be at 5% of the annual spend on private tuition in UK across all target segments, which is parents, tuition centers, as well as schools. We also validated the solution with 25 students, 57% of which said that they will be happy to pay for such a service. 3 schools have also expressed interest for a prototype. With respect to expert validation, we are extremely fortunate that Santander Universities has considered our idea as one of the most innovative startups. We also received a $1,500 grant to support our product development. With respect to immediate next steps, we want to increase our question bank to 800 questions, develop an online website where students can log in, access the assessments, as well as understand their strengths, as well as areas of development. We also want to onboard a machine learning expert to help us build a robot product. We also want to secure seed funding to accelerate product development. Our team is diverse. The experience ranging from tech consulting in Salesforce to strategy consulting at Deloitte, providing advisory services to large education departments, including Ministry of Education in Government of India. We also bring in experience with 2,500 plus hours of tutoring, as well as access to schools and students. We also bring in experience in data analytics. But more than anything, we are excited that we are a team of educators driven by a common vision that one day every child will have equal access to quality education. Finally, we want to thank the entire team and the community of YSYS, as well as our advisors. You all helped us grow. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for the time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I actually found out about the change in name very last minute. I've previously known you as Adapted, but Socratic Learning has a nice ring to it as well. I'd like to invite the feedback panel to share the videos and to give some feedback to the team. So the feedback panel can join us.
Can we kick off with some clarification questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I love the product, love the name as well, and the sort of impact that you're trying to achieve for quality education. So it's very tangible in sort of COVID times as well. So that's really, really great to hear. My question is fairly basic. How much of the product have you developed so far?
So we're taking a sort of a stepwise approach. So to some degree, we've built quite a lot of it in different areas. So with the adaptive platform, we have a working product that we've tried on several students that adapts in terms of difficulty. So we have that. And really most of our efforts now is being put into the third part, which is developing the personalized learning part. So at the moment, we're testing a large amount of data, and we're learning quite a lot about how to make those correlations so that we can feed that into the model, train it, and make sure that it could produce those swiftly.
Okay, cool.
Hi, Emma here. Can I add a question to that? So basically, just to follow on from Dharma, that was amazing. Well done, guys. A really clear presentation, really understood the concept. You sort of addressed a lot of my questions really through that, so well done. My question's more around, obviously you're validating the mechanics of the platform. I'd love to know how you intend, or if you've got ideas on how you might address the accountability aspect of learning. So have you got plans to kind of maybe, I don't know, send feedback to parents or to others to kind of, prod the students? Would love to know more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a couple plans for that. So one, to hold the students accountable will be, at the beginning, we're going to be using a lot of processes in motivational psychology to ask the student about their goals, where they want to achieve, when they want to achieve it, and to have reports that regularly give them notifications about their recent progress, and use positive feedback to kind of motivate the student to continue, as well as sending reports to teachers and parents that can actively find out what their child has been doing, and also set a set number of questions to be completed by a set date, so that they can all monitor what the student is actually doing.
Brilliant, thank you.
Hi, I had a couple of questions, but I don't know. I think, Joshua, you're going ahead first, I think.
Oh, no, I'll, by all means, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, cool. I'm really blown away, both by just kind of how the pitch was put together and everybody contributing to it, and also just the tech involved. Like, really, hats off. I'm actually gassed. Where were you when I needed you? What my question is around is, there are a number of users kind of wrapped up in this business and products. You've got people to sell to, and then you've got students, and then you've got teachers and schools as well. That's a lot to balance. So I guess my question is about acquisition. Like, how would you go about acquiring and speaking to those different parties, and kind of what channels might you use to do that?
Okay.
And channels is, when I say that, I mean both digitally or offline, and the methods you would use.
Okay. I think for us, it's really important that we identify beachhead markets in each of those different places. Mo actually has some connections we also have some connections in schools, tutors, and some parents, and we're already involved in the network. So getting some of those people involved, and then having them kind of push the penetrate into the market, getting more people on board via their networks as well, because that's really what gets people going, is if it's a good product and they understand why it's there. And then through that, we can get word of mouth going, as well as develop a social media presence through an analysis that we did. The social media in this field is not very good. There's less than probably 500 followers on most of the pages. So we feel like we can really tap into that and provide them with information and kind of guide students to how we can get them involved through multiple channels.
Okay.
We'll also be releasing the platform for free for the first couple months to collect the data, so that will incentivize students to use the platform.
And just to add, I think the market that we are also the students that we are trying to address this is GCSE students. So inherently, there is an incentive to search for these sort of solutions. And the way that we are actually packaging the product, it's adaptive. The usual GCSE test is paper-based, so one would think that it is not adaptive. But in reality, the math that goes behind analyzing that, preparing the paper is actually adaptive in nature. They do what is something called item response theory. So, so this kind of solution very much talks with how GCSE questions are made, and hence it would actually be a direct incentive for students on Facebook or any other social media platform that, hey, you know what, this sort of gives us a little bit of an edge. Where in our product, actually, Mo was sharing, we also have this feature of predicting the grade. So based on your solutions, we can actually say, you know what, you're at a 7, you're at a 6. And I think these sort of incentives will bring a lot more GCSE students on the platform.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess to add to that as well, like the platform, just to make it clear, is not to take away the jobs of tutors or teachers. It's actually meant to make their jobs easier and make the jobs easier for the students to actually study the topic. So having a platform that will allow them to use this product without having to, learn too much, I guess, and having like social circles where students can come and ask questions at certain designated times. That's something we're looking forward in our roadmap as well, to make it more engaging, but to also increase word of mouth and increase the buzz of the product.
Okay, great. And if I can help anyway on this, let me know. I only say that because I do some podcast stuff with a guy who runs the most read education blog in the UK. So if you need any press or push, I can hook you up with him and you can get some chats going.
That was very kind.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be great.
A great plug right there.
Yeah, it's convenient, man.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Just in the interest of time, we're going to move on swiftly to our next team. Can I have the team to join us? And please correct me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. There was another name change through the process of the 6 weeks.
Yeah, no, it's Kazai. Hi, everyone. Just sharing my screen now. Let me know, I guess, if anyone can't see.
Yeah, I think we can see it.
Great, thank you.
Brilliant. Hi guys, we're Kasai, the one-stop shop for your Afro curly hair needs. We provide hair care which is educational, ethical, and accessible. Imagine you're a new parent with a child that's a different race or that has a different hair texture to you. Where do you go to find your information? Now imagine you're a millennial transitioning from chemically relaxed hair to natural hair. Again, where do you go to find your information? Imagine you're just trying to find out which ingredients and which products are most suitable to you and your hair type. Where do you go to find this information, and how do you know which information is applicable to you? The more we talk to our target market, the more we realize how pressing these problems are for them. The past decade has seen a growing number of Black women swapping at-home chemical relaxers for a more natural hair care. However, the market for these products still remains very fragmented, both in terms of information and in terms of distribution of products. Personally, I've had to sift hours and hours through content from blogs to Facebook groups to YouTube videos to find out information. And when talking to our target market, we found that they also have the same issues when trying to find simple pieces of information around their hair type, their hair texture, or just simply the products that are best for them. Secondly, with regulation in the Black hair care market being less stringent than its other beauty counterparts, the onus usually falls on Black consumers to find out information around which ingredients are toxic and harmful to their hair. This process can be really difficult and arduous, and not one that many are expected to do for similar products such as food or for makeup. Now imagine how difficult that could be, let's say if you're a new parent, trying to make sure that you're not using toxic products on your children's hair. Furthermore, this market has a largely offline purchasing experience. The beauty supply store has always been a staple in most Black communities, and up to now it has served as the go-to place for purchasing Black hair products. However, imagine how isolating this could be for those who live in a rural, non-metropolitan area, or those who are new to a non-majority Black city or country, for example. This lack of digitalization and centralization leads to many issues around accessibility. So how do these problems translate to the market? The UK Black hair industry is worth an estimated £5.25 billion, with Black women on average spending 6 times more than their white women counterparts on hair care. Furthermore, even with this rise of spending on Black hair care products, 1 in 12 beauty products are considered toxic.
So we have identified 4 main competitors. This includes 2 types of hairdressers, one that is self-taught with no technical training. It's good for styling, but not necessarily for hair care. We also have the hairdresser who does have technical training, but may be costly and not readily available to give advice. We have the local beauty supply store, where workers may not necessarily know from personal experience or have received the training to accurately advise customers on choosing the right products. Many interviewees from our target research have voiced that they felt overwhelmed and they didn't know who to ask for advice while going into the store. There are also vlogs and blogs. However, many are opinion-based. It is hard to find advice for your specific hair type or problems, and they also tend to recommend products in the US, which are harder to find in the UK. Our solution is made up of 3 parts. The first is a hair profile. The visitor will go onto the site, fill in a quick quiz, and will then have the basic info on their hair and hair goals. Secondly, we have an information hub verified by trichologists and other hair experts, from which the user will be recommended relevant content to help with their journey. And finally, we have a retail side, which provides a centralized source for non-toxic affordable products, ready for the user to purchase, and features testimonials and videos to help visualize the products on different hair types.
Sorry, it's a bit glitchy, I don't know why. sorry.
So the main topics that will be covered will be porosity, density, and strand thickness in the quick quiz. In regards to our business model, we're looking to charge 0.25% commission. One of the best ways to advertise ourselves would be via YouTube. A mid-sized YouTuber with 15K subscribers will give us an average of 1,200 sales. And from our research, we have found that people usually tend to purchase in the sets of 3. Therefore, we have an estimated £900 revenue per 1,200 sales. We will also be providing premium accounts, which will operate on a Patreon model and will cost £5 to access. These will include exclusive videos and events. Finally, we will be doing sponsored posts based on the Amazon model, which currently charges 81 cents per click at a 0.36 click-through rate. And we will be charging 41 cents at an estimated 0.15 click-through rate.
Sorry about that. So in terms of what our immediate website will look like, so from the get-go, we will start getting people's to start using the hair quiz. That way we can get to know more about their hair, and they can create a profile where we can start adding them to our customer base and keep in contact with them up until when we launch. This will allow people to familiarize themselves with the brand. In terms of our social media, we've also started branding and engaging with our followers to make sure that we have some sort of a presence. So what's the secret sauce that we have? We have access to experts, from trichologists to hair chemists and hairdressers. We have exposure, where a charity has agreed to publish, once we launch, to help us reach the masses. And we also have That Good Hair, where we will do a live with her. She was in the last cohort for YSYS, as well as using an event where we can reach people, connect with them, and get to know their stories a bit better. With the influencers, we have access to people who have a following of over 6K, which will allow us to get our initial target market. Our personal networks include software engineers, video editors, and professional models. So who are we? What's the team? Who is the team made up of? So in terms of Hannah is our strategic marketing specialist. She helps with our advertising, marketing, and she has a breadth of experience. Flora has helped with trend analysis and fashion buying, as well as her degree in politics and international relations, which comes in handy as well as myself, who has had experience with budget management, financial maths, and sales forecasting modeling. So just to conclude, we are an information hub and retailer, and we really aim to provide educational, accessible, and ethical hair care. As 3 Black women, we have experienced similar struggles to our target market. We have seen firsthand the gap in the market and how Black hair care is often neglected and underrepresented when it comes to mainstream hair care industry. We have seen the success that beauty brands such as Fenty and Glossier have had through focusing on areas of diversity, personalization, and ethical sustainability. Through bringing Kasai to market with these solutions for these problems at our core, we will revolutionize the Black hair market, and we will in a similar fashion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Apologies for our glitchy presentation.
No worries. Technical difficulties always an issue sometimes. So thank you guys for joining us and for your amazing pitch. Can I invite the feedback panel to join us? Dammer and Josh, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I was just asking who wants to kick off. Otherwise, I have one particular question for you. What particular strategies do you have in place to get people from doing the hair quiz to actually going to your retailer side for the whole marketplace?
So in terms of, we want to build our credibility. So the fact that we will organize the platform in a sense that where we say, okay, these are the products you have for that lack in sulfates, or these are the products which would be good for dry hair, that sort of thing. The way we will organize the platform will make it really accessible for people to just know which products will be best for them, as well as the information which is ingrained into the platform as well. So when you click on a product, you can see how big it is, you can see what it's specifically used for, and also our prices will be competitive, so that there will be no real reason to go and buy it somewhere else, because you can get it delivered, and it's competitive with the beauty supply store as well.
Hey, I have a question. First of all, congratulations, great pitch. So thank you. I had a question around the subscription model. I recently watched an interview with Jessica Alba, and she was talking about focusing on a core of products, first of all, and how she went children first, or like parents first, and then adults. I know that you mentioned parents as well, and I was really interested to know which kind of core consumer you were drilling into first. Are you going in the route of like people just for themselves, or are you focusing more on the parents, or where do you feel like you could particularly go in the first outreach?
So Michelle, you want to go?
Oh no, Hannah, please.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, so originally we started with two of these, both parents and sort of young millennials being our two target markets. But when we were doing our sort of validating and research, we kind of also realized that we needed to narrow down on one group or the other. So we've decided to stick with the millennials, or the sort of young woman as our first core market, and then kind of then move out to parents. We actually think it's a bit easier to start out with that person as our core market, and with the branding and everything, it would still kind of have a halo effect on parents, as parents tend to go to the younger generation to find out like what they're doing in terms of hair trends and stuff like that. Whereas we noted with our interviews, it doesn't really happen the other way around. So yeah, our sort of main focus is the sort of millennial.
Yeah, and just to add to that, as Hannah said, the millennial will have access to a lot of different groups as well. So even the target markets which aren't our primary target markets, for example, even men who are millennials as well, there was also like access to them as well. So they will also come to their sisters to kind of get that information. So by going to this age group, we'll have access to a lot of other target markets.
Fantastic.
Emma, go ahead.
Yeah.
Emma, do you want to go?
No, you go for it, Joshua.
Okay. Yeah, Lisa, you stole what I was thinking, but that's okay. So I will ask about, you mentioned about being competitive. I guess I was just curious to what cost structure you imagine. So kind of how much do you think it may cost you to get things going? And this is fine if it's just guesswork at the moment, or do you even know kind of the areas in which you'll be needing to spend money at the moment? Because I was just curious about the nature of being able to say it would be kind of competitive.
Okay, so in terms of kind of how we price things, we are also working with small British businesses as well. So by having these connections, we can, well, with the bigger brands, it's harder to kind of to gauge, to have that much lower from what they have. But with British brands, you kind of get to know them a bit more, and you can kind of come to an understanding. So we're hoping to also use our platform to uplift smaller hair brands which don't have that exposure, and also but are good quality products that people could use. So that's also part of our structure in terms of being able to price more competitively, because we're not just going for the big expensive brands. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, and you gave me extra cool info too, so thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you, feedback panel. We're going to move on to our next team, Langamo, to have Elizabeth and Christopher, I think, on. Perfect. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Hi, good.
Good, good.
Yeah,
good.
doing good. Thank you. Yeah.
Sweet. All right, I'll leave it to you to crack on.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, can everyone hear me perfectly? Just want to check, Kwaku, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, we are Langamo, and we create songs to help children learn English through music. My wonderful colleague Amatola is going to walk you through the problem solution and with the story.
I would like you to think of yourself as a 12-year-old boy in Ethiopia named Kamal. Kamal has a dream of becoming a successful professor in his Amharic community in Ethiopia someday. But in order to do this, he needs to learn English. However, Kamal has very little exposure to English outside his classroom. And there's also a lack of fun resources to help Kamal to learn English. Next, please. Now I bring you to the problem. English language is a widely growing market in the world, and there is a lack of and ease of access to culturally relevant edutainment content, as well as resources designed for teachers and students to use in the classroom. Next, please. Now I bring you to the solution. Child-friendly English cartoon songs, videos to help Kamal to learn English. How will this help Kamal to reach his dreams of becoming a professor? 1, convenience and ease of access. Kamal is able to stream videos, this cartoon song videos, across multiple platforms like YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. 2, these videos are translated in Kamal's native language with subtitle translations and explainer videos to help Kamal to engage with the content. 3, modern music and cultural representation. Kamal is exposed to diverse cultures and cartoon ethnic groups representation in these cartoon videos. Now we'll bring you to the mission.
So what is Langamo's mission? Our mission is to transform the way kids learn English with fun cartoon-based songs. But the question is why? I'll give you an example with a story. So I studied law at university, and in my 3rd year, I actually had to take an optional course module. I ended up taking French, but there was a huge problem. I didn't have time to really study French because the law took up too much time out of my study, my classes. So what I ended up doing is basically learning French through music. I got from basically a beginner to really fluent, consistent learning within probably 7 months. And I ended up getting the 1st class in my French exams. And that gave me the idea to basically think that music can be really powerful to help learning, which gave me the idea for Langamo. So what does this look like? I'll just show you a quick short demo of what this solution looks like in action. Can you guys see YouTube at the moment?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you guys hear sound?
No.
Okay, 2 seconds.
Oh, I could hear it just now.
Can you hear it?
I could hear it now. Could you try again?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then there's Sunday. How do I start off my week? I work out first thing on Monday. I go to work 5 days a week, and then I like to rest on Sunday. I swim on Wednesday.
Okay, not to worry.
And we can hear it.
Okay, It's not showing up. It's not staying in my headphones. So
yeah,
it's
so,
job is the start routine again on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then there's Sunday. How do I start off my week? I work out first thing on Monday. I go to work 5 days a week, and then I like to rest on Sunday. I swim on Wednesdays, job on Thursdays, and start routine again on Monday. I saw my friend Tyrese last Thursday, and then I saw him again on.
Okay, so that was just a quick demo of what this solution looks like in action. Now let's move on to the market size. Okay, so there are 1.7 billion plus people worldwide learning English at this current moment. And we know, according to studies by the British Council, that there's a 40% increase in English language demand in EMEA regions. But who is our target market? Our target market are underserved EMEA countries like Pakistan and Ethiopia that have a high growth in demand for English language materials. And school children from the ages of 8 to 16 years old in these regions, and school teachers in these regions. Moving on, who is our competition? Okay, so Choo-Choo TV is the main player in this market. They have a huge share of the market size. They're an Indian edutainment channel. They have 33.1 million subscribers and 21.7 billion views on YouTube. Then we have the Bazillions, a really popular American edutainment band that has 8 million viewers. Then you have other solutions like Grammar Songs with Melissa that have 3 million viewers, and Ubongo Kids, which is an African-based edutainment content platform that creates songs for Tanzanian children. Now, what is our competitive advantage? Our competitive advantage is added convenience. We add authentic subtitle translations in the learner's native language. For example, like the child Kamal you saw, we would have translations in Amharic, the Ethiopian language, and explain the videos by natives who speak Amharic fluently, as opposed to just mere English subtitles. This makes the learning experience more useful for the child. And also, we provide modern music genres. So genres that 14, 15-year-olds in these sort of places will be listening to that are popularized in the world, like pop, rap, hip hop, and just general modern genres. And also in our cartoons, the characters we use, we make sure to include a fair, diverse range of characters. For instance, characters from white, black, Asian, and all over different descents, seeing them in positive roles like being doctors in cartoons and lawyers. Okay, my colleague Omotola is going to go through just a few of the business models and basically our call to action, what we're looking for out of this.
So a main way we're looking to monetize this would be by using advertisement on YouTube, as well as streaming costs on popular platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. Our main call to action here is to revolutionize the way people learn English using fun-based content. And we will be looking for funding to pursue this goal of creating videos, more videos, and also creating subtitle translations in different languages across the continent. Thank you.
Exactly. So basically just more small to medium-sized style grants to basically secure our ability to do this. And we're just going to quickly show the team. So this is the one for Omotola here, a colleague here, is like the tech lead co-founder. Then me, I'm the creative head and founder. Then we have our other colleague, Imani, who wasn't able to make it here. She's the real industry expert and co-founder. And we have Abdi, our marketing lead, who's also a co-founder. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you, FoundersDoor, and thank you for taking your time to listen to our presentation. We're done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christoph. Thank you, Omotola. I think that might have been the first time you've heard a live song being played on the pitch. So well done on the first. Thank you again. We'll have the panel if you can join to ask any questions and give feedback.
Hi, I have a question. Thanks very much for the pitch. It was really, really good. I had a question around, so you're targeting like a very, like the 8 to 16-year-olds. Why would they listen to your tracks versus just listening to like hip hop artists that they already know? And are there any plans to maybe connect with those types of artists? Or I guess what's that USP?
No, I think that's a great question. And just to clarify, a lot of people those age range do listen to the artists like Drake or just to learn English. But the real thing that we add is we're focused on the English language. So basically, the learner has focused songs on phrasal verbs, modal verbs, adjective, and basically the sort of advantage we had is they know what to look for with us. But we do want to become sort of a modern, to have a share in that market space. So yeah, that's a very good point.
Cool. So you could almost like have different modules that you would follow as a learner and work your way through.
Yes.
Exactly.
Another thing just to add was also, given that we're looking to add subtitles in their native languages, that would also help them follow along much quicker and just pick up the pace compared to just regular videos.
Just to kind of follow on from there, thanks a lot for the pitch. It was a great pitch. I want to ask a few questions a bit more, well, to focus on the product a little bit more. So I'd love to know a little bit more about the user journey and what my experience would be like on using your apps. And if you're primarily focusing on sort of listening, certainly on my sort of language learning journey, I currently learning Spanish. One of the great aspects of, or the thing that helps to cement the knowledge that I take in is actually using the language. Will you have, I don't know, a sing-along or something to help me use what I've learned on your app?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's definitely a great question. We can't lie and say to you, oh yeah, we definitely know our user journey from A to B, because we're still in the stage of even finding out really if the market really wants our product. But what we think a user journey would be is, for instance, a child like Kamal searching on YouTube, English, I don't know, phrasal verbs, or English, how to learn English. Then over time, once we sort of produce more content and get sort of more leverage on the YouTube platform, our stuff shows up in the algorithm. That's what we think. And we also think our user journey could be through the school system. So say, for instance, you're a teacher in Ethiopia and you need some sort of fun educational listening comprehension content to get your students engaged. So what they can do is just basically listen through I don't know, the teacher in class, then when they're home, just go and re-listen again. So yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're starting off with the content first before then, progressing on to potentially an app and that type of thing.
Yes, at this stage, definitely content first, yes.
Okay.
Chris, we had a mentor one-to-one as well, so I'm glad to see this sort of from the past weeks as well. My question might be a bit difficult to answer, but I'll try. And just also to say, like, I would have loved to see these type of videos that I can just turn out to my cousin in Sri Lanka who has a child who listens to this one song about the fingers all the flipping time, and just watches those videos on YouTube. So there's definitely the sort of demand for more songs to actually learn English. So really great to see that. My question is more on the sort of learning journey as well, and how you can, what sort of data you're gathering in order to say that there's somewhat of a progress in actually learning the language more effectively, and if there's any sort of baseline data that you have gathered from your customer validation as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I think that's a really great question. So at this stage, it's been pretty much anecdotal. So it's been us reaching out to Facebook groups and someone who's an English teacher saying, oh yeah, this is actually pretty good. I think children like it, I think. That is something will be the core of what we're looking at into the future when we really want to develop this. It would be good to have sort of statistics or stuff, maybe just to bring someone on and have sort of more tangible figures. But that hasn't been fully developed at this stage, but that's something we're looking to do.
I think also just to add on that, I think in the future plans of getting the videos out there and getting exposure, the plans of probably building an application to measure progress and also create kind of like a structured learning journey for the users would be then something we would want to pursue.
If we still have time for my one. I'll be super quick. You mentioned the competitors and their staggering stats. I guess I was just curious if you knew what those amount of views actually equated to money-wise, because the music industry, which you would weirdly kind of be a part of, and Spotify and all this stuff, they're disrespecting the artists with how much money they get paid. Don't get me started. But it's just a difficult thing to make work, to rack up those amount of views. So I just wanted to know if you knew the kind of money behind those figures.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I actually looked into that. I looked at how much Choo Choo TV was sort of worth what they're making. There's a lot of estimates online, but what people suggest is, what people think, especially, I forgot the name of the site, I think it was like 6 to 7 figures. So I think at best they were doing maybe 5, 10 million. But you have to keep in mind, they've really put in time to be the key market player in edutainment. They've been around for quite a long time, and they also have songs in English, French, Hindi, and multiple languages. So they have such a diverse range of stuff, and they have such a big stuff. They're across so many channels. However, the other competitors, it's a bit more sketchy. So Grammar Songs and Melissa is not really on the same level as Choo Choo TV. Brazilians is not really, but they've been in the space for a long time. However, Ubongo Kids is, because they use stuff like syndication. They're like action TV show. So I think they do 7 figures. I'm not sure, but basically, long story short, Choo Choo TV, Ubongo Kids, I think those are the big sort of plays. The rest are just popular channels that have been around for a long time, but not really successful, basically.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the pitch, and thank you, panel, for your amazing feedback. Challenging questions as always. Can I next introduce View It team? So Akil and Arena, I believe, if you can join.
Hey.
Hello, everyone.
We're just going to share our screen. So it'll be me and Arena presenting. We've got Aaron as well, providing us support from the bench. Let me just share my screen. How is that looking for you guys?
Yep, I think you're good.
Superb. Okay. Renting a new home is stressful, particularly when looking at viewing new homes, especially the place where you're going to be spending most of your free time. Take David, for example. David is a busy professional who has recently found a new job only on the other side of London. Now, this is only 1 hour away from where he is currently, but the 8 viewings that he wants to conduct, he just doesn't have the time for. And then on the other hand, you've got my friend Oyin, who is from Lagos, Nigeria, who's now received a great offer for a new job in the company headquarters in London. Now, she's that global millennial we have, but she's only got that one auntie in London who she feels guilty to ask to go and do these viewings for her. And also, she feels as though her auntie won't be able to meet her needs. And then you've got Tom. Tom is from Newcastle, who's recently got an aerospace engineering place at Imperial College London. But he's found a house for £300 a month in Chelsea and Kensington. Now, we all know that's not right, but he needs the verification. Oyin needs to be in the location, and David just needs that time. And that's what our insights say as well. People have said that 73% of their time, 73% of our people have said that they have disrupted work schedules, and also 76% have said that they feel as though they had stressful experiences when renting. And then on the other hand, when people have asked their friends and family to undertake the viewings for them, they've spent less time at the viewing, and also they've done less viewings, meaning their viewing requirements have been left unfulfilled. And most importantly, the verification aspect. More than 90% of people have experienced discrepancies between listings and reality. And also more than 90% have said that they feel comfortable with a virtual viewing experience. But the real value comes from the fact that they'll have a local expert giving them a better, well-rounded understanding of the community that they're going to be moving into. And who will be bridging that gap? That's us, that's View It. View It allows accommodation seekers to connect with a community of peers to create a personalized, live, and interactive viewing experience from anywhere, enabling you to envision your future home virtually.
We will now quickly go through our seeker user journey. Meet Stephanie, who is a second-year student at Royal Holloway, and she wants to book a new View It. She will then move on to input the address, date, and time preferred, and she will see that there are currently 3 viewers available in this area with their respective View Its done previously and their personalized ratings. She then sees that Yuri is also a fellow student at the Royal Holloway with a good knowledge of local shops and pubs. She then books the View It, and she has the option to then go on and manage her View It. She can either chat with Yuri, upgrade to Premier, or add a checklist. She decides to add a checklist, and by adding a checklist, she will let Yuri know what specifications she should look for in the flat, and she can also upgrade to Premium to add more detail. She then will have a pop-up on her screen when the viewing is complete, and she can go directly to the chat to click the video button to see the recorded video of the viewing. After the recording is viewed, she then will have a pop-up of her personalized dashboard where she can review the video, she can review any photos taken by Yuri, she can review the checklist, share her View It with potential housemates, see the overall comments that Yuri had about the flat, see any points of interest such as closeness to tube stops, and she can also access community insights by upgrading to Premium so that she will have a tailored overview of the neighborhood that she will live in.
Now, within the UK market, there are around 28 million viewings in the UK alone, and London accounts for 5.3 million of those viewings. We want to target 74,000 of our early adopters who are the busy professionals, global millennials, and uninformed students. This will allow us to access a diverse environment in London, but also understand whether we have a product market fit and iterate our product. And the way we'll approach this is through word of mouth and referrals and targeted marketing. We'll try and build partnerships with companies such as Zoopla and also estate agents to then understand how the whole ecosystem works. To keep our community safe, we'll have a simple ID verification process as we continue to build our team of experts, which will allow us to develop our apps and capabilities to enhance the experience for the users and also open up further revenue channels and create an ecosystem. The revenue model is fairly simple. We'll take a service charge from the seeker and a commission will be charged to the viewer. With this, we will earn between £4 to £15 per View It, and that depends on the level of service of the View It. This makes the initial UK market alone worth 300 million, and that's without the extra viewings that View It will enable. Our team is 3 strong at the moment. We've got myself, with my background in innovation and entrepreneurship working at startups. I will be leading the vision and strategy. We've got Irina with her background in investment banking, who will lead our operations and finance. And we've got Aaron, our product developer. He'll be leading the marketing and user experience. And over the next year, we're looking to raise £250,000 in seed funding and also take on advisors on our board to help us build our community of seekers and viewers. This is highly desirable right now. It's the era of renting. 82% of millennials are renting now. And as we make the world a smaller place, as we chase our career aspirations, we are moving around a lot more and more. The feasibility is there. The pandemic has shown us how much we trust technology to change the way we undertake social interactions. And also we can see with everything in the news, the power of community. The viability is there. We understand our revenue model, and we know that we can scale it into different cities as we go further and further. And we know that there are opportunities to make more money within this fragmented estate agent rental ecosystem. But the real question is, what is the cost of doing nothing? The cost of doing nothing is David still doesn't have the time to find his gem of a house. Oyen still feels guilty because she's not in the location of her viewing. And finally, Thomas is still uninformed and he still doesn't have the verification of the picture and reality. And that's why we invite you to join us on View It's mission and envision your next home virtually. Thank you very much for your time. Have I spoken too much?
No. You hit the limit quite well, so don't worry about that. Thank you for your pitch, Akil and Irina. I mean, if this product was out in the world, I definitely could have made use of it about 4 months ago when I was still looking for a flat, but that's sorted now. But yeah, hopefully that comes into fruition in the near future. Cool. As usual, can I invite the panel to give their feedback?
Yeah, guys, this is excellent. I need it now. I needed it yesterday. No, well done. It's a great pitch. Love the product. Yeah, I can envision it. Basically, so I've got a couple of questions. Have you validated that price point, the price point of a view at all? Have you got any feedback from potential customers?
Yeah, we do have feedback. And the thing is, we're also looking at that pricing model quite carefully, because what people do usually, they don't just do one view it, they do many view it.
Yeah.
And for example, if you're a student, you're probably looking for a house of 4, right? So if you're going to do 5 view it's between all of you and you're all in different areas of the world. So Irina, so I actually studied with Irina. She was in Romania. I'm in London. And then we've got Aaron, for example, who's in Leicester. Now, if we want to stay in a house together, it's just me doing the viewing and I incur all of the costs, or Irina has to fly in and stay in a hotel. So all of these costs kind of add up for someone like Irina who lives in Europe, or someone like Aaron who will have to come down and do all of that. So in terms of the price, people are willing to pay for it, where depending on the level of service as well. So upgrading to premium is a £15, you pay £15 more, but on the other hand, you get so much more as well. And for example, if you're a student and you're walking around your local neighborhood, doing a view it isn't that hard.
Yeah. And also, like, you've also got the potential to resell or distribute data. So if I've gone and I've actually ticked a lot of the boxes, maybe there's a way that I could. But yeah, the other question I had was around the product, because you showed like an emulated version of the product there, or a clickable version of the product. How far along is it? When do you think you'll kind of have an MVP ready?
Superb. Thank you so much for that question, because it allows us to kind of sneak in our little passive option that we were thinking about, but we still need to validate it. So as we said, there's options to expand our revenue, and that's by having passive views. So for example, if I've done a view it for you, Emma, I would then be able, and then we've got Aaron who wants to see the same property. He can now come and view your view it, but it will be a significant cheaper price for him. So it'd be just £4 for him, but then he also sees it and validates it, which will help us rent houses quicker. But again, that's another option. And then how far is it? We don't want to start coding the back end stuff before we know that people really, really want it. So essentially what we're planning to do as we roll it out with an alpha is use a clickable version, but do all the automation stuff ourselves. So we'll go and do the viewing ourselves and whatever, and see how the app works. And that way we can actually focus on the features that are most valuable.
Yeah, sounds great. I think that's a really good method of sort of validating it, and definitely utilizing yourselves to actually do those initial views, so that you can actually validate the other side of it, whether or not people want it. So brilliant. I think it's great.
Yeah. Thank you. And also it allows us to validate the price as well.
Yeah. I kind of want to add on to that question, because you've semi-answered it, but it opens up a bigger can of worms.
Love it.
Now, that if you're going to do the viewings yourself for the first couple of months, let's say, then there's definitely the sort of understanding or the assumption that the information that is being posted as well is going to be credible. But what if you then open it up to a wider community, and what sort of feedback loops do you have in place, and are there any sort of issues around safeguarding as well that you've contemplated about?
Yep, so that's where our approach comes in. So when we start bringing on new members, that we're going to do it in two fronts. So first of all, everyone's going to have a simple ID verification process. You see that on a day-to-day basis everywhere with Monzo. You take a picture of your ID, you just say, I want to join Monzo, and that's it. And it doesn't cost that much. So we have done research behind that. The other thing is we want to build a team of experts. And how are we going to do that? So as we go and do the viewings ourselves, we can start building like a understanding of what we need to know for that viewing. And then so everyone who wants to become a viewer will have to go through like a small training, a video process. But then after they've completed their first viewing or first 2 viewings, they'll get paid for their time on completing that. And that gives them the verification status.
Okay, adding on to that, sorry.
No worries, no, we love it.
On the simple ID verification, because that's quite a lot of burden on you as an organization because it's quite sensitive personal data as well that you will get from that. Have you potentially considered using services like Yoti for the ID verification, or and another question also, have you considered developing a really nifty API that sort of links to Spare Room and other sort of room viewing platforms where you could essentially, where they could just migrate over to your platform?
We haven't developed it yet, no. So that's the easy answer. The harder answer is the verification. Well, actually, no, it's not as hard because we have done the research on verification companies and we will outsource it. At the beginning, it's just too much to do. But as we become bigger, I think we'll have like a process like Monzo. They have all their verification on site now. But right now, we need to focus on what's important, and that's our customers. Customers.
If you want an introduction to someone at Yoti, do let me know. And
that's amazing. Stupendous.
Hey, I had a question. A great presentation. Hiya. I recently moved as well. So I stacked in, I think I had to do like 10 viewings back to back in like one day in order to just, because I was in a different
hard
location.
is that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean, I would say like one of the, so I was only going through estate agents in the end. And there was a lot around like registration, and that's around this safeguarding piece, I think. So I think anything you could do to reassure. Be really interesting to see how that segues into the private rental market and what you're like, where you're targeting, first of all, when you've done your user research. I was really like, I think I would have paid for a subscription for a month in order to be able to just have that unlimited view at like listings. And then also another thing that I was really keen to understand is, you know, like how immediate you have to make a decision to take a place. Have you got any kind of special features that would help facilitate that as well?
The fear of missing out aspect, right? You don't want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it's so immediate. I had to make a decision within like, as I walked out the door, someone else was waiting to go in, and I literally had to make a decision there and then. Yeah,
it's great. It's funny because when we did the viewings as well, there were estate agents love to have this process of having people lined up in front of the door to make you want to take the place straight away.
Yeah, which I don't ever seen with buying before, but it seems to have moved into rental now with this like mass viewings.
Yeah, and actually, this is an experience I had when viewing. The estate agent actually asked a rental person from upstairs. They're already renting from him, and they said, "Oh, can you just come and view the flat that I have downstairs, just if you like it or not?"
Yeah.
And the fear of missing out catches on. But then we want to be able to work with estate agents and say, "Look, we are going to do viewings for you. We will verify it so people will like you more." And that way, you know, and because of this passive aspect that we're having as well, we want to be able to kind of say, look, people are going to be looking at your viewings more. They'll trust you more. So you'll get rid of these flats a lot. You don't have to do all this skullduggery of having people lining up behind you.
Do you think that there is like, are they struggling to rent them though? I mean, that would be my question.
Yeah, it's because of volume.
I didn't get that sense, like when I was viewing, and the only ones that they weren't struggling were the really like, you know, was a reason why they weren't renting out.
And yes and no, because estate agents are very good at causing that fear of missing out stuff. But the other thing is, the reason why they do this is because not enough people view, and we think that, you know, we will be able to help them move properties quicker. And the other thing we were thinking about as well was having a rental passport as well. So right now there's a lot of work behind references as well in the rental market. This is future stuff. These are things that we have like thought about, but you can have like a rental passport kind of thing where, you know, you if you've had a reference done on you already, you can use that reference for another estate agent, so you don't have to keep paying those fees. And that's how it will help and enable them. And a company has already raised 8 million in order to have this like rental passport, so it shows your previous tenancies and how good you've been. But right now we want to focus on the MVP, what our main value is, and this is what our main value is. But as we create the data, as mentioned earlier, we'll be able to kind of vertically integrate and horizontally.
Yeah, I mean, when you began your presentation as well, I thought it was really interesting how you were saying, look, people can't free up their time, and that is entirely true. And particularly if they're not in the location. So it would be really interesting to see like how that validates. There are lots of different ways it could pivot. But I think it particularly when you're doing it yourselves, just really getting a sense of where are our revenue streams, where are the quick wins, and how do we look at building out the product as our customers start asking for these things.
Exactly, yeah. That's
because the dual marketplace is hard in itself, like populating both ends of that, making sure you've got the people to respond to the queries and the people who actually want to use it is tough. So trying not to make it too difficult for yourselves.
And that's great. Yeah, pivot options is what we're looking for. You know, we can integrate within the estate agent, the housing market, but then again, you've got the air taskers who do tasks, you know, all sorts of tasks. And then you've also got, you can car viewings, you know, like we never thought that we'd be able to have meetings over Zoom and do executive meetings over Zoom. But look at us now, you know, it just took one global pandemic, you know, that's nothing.
Sorry to interrupt, guys. I'm going to have to wrap up there for our last pitch. But thank you for an amazing pitch. And thank you for these really interesting questions. I can see that especially this particular product is aroused a lot of questions, given how useful it is for most of us that have been through the kind of move and house process.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Cool.
Cheers, guys. Last pitch of the evening. We're going to be joined by the Grow team. So Samuel, if you can join us on the panel. It's usually a duo, but her co-founder couldn't make it today. Hey, Sama.
Yeah, sorry. I think Akil just needs to take his screen off. Can you see that? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay, cool. Cool. Okay. So welcome to Grow, and this is the app that nurtures nature. So my name is Sama, and I'm the founder of Grow. I work within the legal department at a private equity firm. I'm also a Founders of the Future Fellow, which recognises the top tech entrepreneurs under the age of 30. I led Grow to win Best Pitch and People's Champ at Founders Weekend, and most importantly, I'm a lover of houseplants. So what is the problem? People are struggling to look after their houseplants. Our market research confirmed 4 main problems: that people don't know what their houseplants are called, they don't know how to care for their houseplants, they have no way of tracking their houseplants, and 100% of our 160 participants reiterated feeling negative emotions such as sadness, guilt, worry, and about killing their houseplants. The solution. At Grow, we have the solution. This includes plant identification, customizable care reminders for each individual plant profiles to keep track of all your houseplants, and a growing community of plant enthusiasts. Value proposition. At Grow, we're proposing the freemium business model. This will allow our free users to be able to enjoy features such as basic knowledge resources, customizable care reminders and notifications, as well as plant progress journals. For $3.99 a month, users will have access to plant identification, full knowledge resources, categorization of plants into rooms, and photo and video tutorials. The prototype. This is the medium fidelity prototype for the Grow app. I've created a simple, easy to use app for optimum user experience. On the left, you can see the prototype in motion, completing tasks such as adding a monstera to the user's jungle, setting a reminder to water their plants, and looking through the plant directory to learn more about bunny ears cacti. The competition. There are a few apps tapping into a few problems that I've mentioned, but nothing doing what I've said all the problems are, so there's nothing that solves all the problems at the moment. Happy Plant focuses only on water reminders and is available only on iOS. PlantSnap caters to just identify users' plants. Planter at the moment is the closest competitor to Grow, but there's no ability to journal your plants, create a social community within the app, and it's only available on iOS. The other issue discovered through speaking to Planter users was that most of the features on the app are actually only for premium subscribers, which costs £7.49 a month. At Grow, there's a balance between the free and paid for features. Users can access all features at only £3.99 a month. So why Grow? Through customer research and user testing, we've discovered just a few benefits that really stand out. There's an ability to connect to the weather app to sync with your local weather and adjust care reminders to cater to this. Users can also categorize their plants into rooms, which will then adjust the care reminders depending on the light and the heat in each room. An option will be added where you can add dimensions to plant journaling for a better experience. There's also an option to rename your plants because, don't know about you, but my plants are called things like Big Leaf Samson. The market size. The Garden Centre Association reported that sales were up 33.1% in January 2020 compared to 2019. Horticultural Trades Association released their annual report in 2020, which values the market at $5.7 billion, with houseplants being named as star performers, growing 15% each year. The 2018 Garden Trends report stated that 67% of the 15,000 surveyed now turn to the internet for advice. There's a huge market that's largely untapped, and this is where Grow comes in. COVID-19 has highlighted the potential growth of this market with many new plant owners, and it's shown the importance of plants in society during lockdown. If we just look at London alone, where Patch Plants reported in 2018 that 67% of Londoners owned houseplants, that's a 6.2 million person market alone. Traction. So how am I going to convert this market into growers? I'm looking at 3 different stages. So at launch, there'll be an aim of increasing awareness, offering a 2-week free premium trial upon download. Then we'll look at growth. This will be through social media marketing, engaging with lifestyle bloggers, of whom have hundreds of thousands of followers. A lot of them are mainly even just plants alone, so they have a really targeted audience. Also engaging in plant forums that I'm already a part of with hundreds of thousands of followers who are really keen for something like this because they almost ask for it on a daily basis. The third stage is retention and referral. We aim to retain customers and users by continuously user testing and conduct market research to develop and products further. We then want to add a referral scheme whereby users can receive 1 month free premium subscription for every referral that they pass on to us. Thank you for listening to the presentation, and I welcome any questions to the floor.
I love this. I've been buying so many plants since lockdown, and I have like tomatoes and rhubarb and as well in pots now, as well as like general plants. And I've been Googling like crazy.
That's the thing. From so many people, especially during lockdown, that they've bought so many. I mean, I'm the same. Like, it was my birthday a few weeks ago, and literally everyone bought me plants because of the idea, and I was like, great.
I think the biggest, and interestingly as well, I was saying, like, I don't know what I'll do after lockdown. Like, I'll be so worried, like, what's going on with my plants? I could become like emotionally invested in whether they like survive. Have you considered, like, because I know there's a lot of offices that rent plants as well. Is that part of your business plan, or is it particularly consumer led at the moment?
No, so it's not. So one of the other things that I was considering was kind of affiliates as well, and that would be going business to business. And the reason at the moment I've stuck to this is that when we were doing kind of really looking at the product and what we wanted to launch first, it was kind of to make sure that we were solving the key problem and not dispersing ideas all over the place. But one of the main things that we were looking at was kind of having a shop element as well, affiliates, because different customer segments want different things. And I found that a lot of the more keen planters that really knew their stuff, what they wanted was also a place where they could buy everything and have almost recommended retailers, that kind of thing. And I was hoping to then get affiliate transactions through that and people that we recommend and have partnerships with.
Yeah, well, congratulations. It looks great. It's a great pitch. So excited to see. Yeah, excited to try it as well.
I have a question. It's Abiola here, part of the YSYS team. This is really interesting, and I think it's a great idea. As a new aspiring plant mum, I have been doing like the plant parenting course on patch plants. And I guess my question for Grow would be that when it's very likely, and I've seen it before, big businesses see sort of the innovation coming out from startups and try and like replicate it or like take some of the share. So like obviously that plant parenting course is not a specific app and doesn't have the community aspects of it, but what are your thoughts on how you would defend the business or protect what you're growing when something that's like a big like venture-backed business like Patch Plants could potentially like reformat itself to compete?
Thanks. That's definitely something that I have thought about, because Patch Plants I think does take a lot of, for definitely the retail segment of a lot of the customer segment that I am looking for in terms of that millennial space. I think for me, it would just be that I'm trying to convert people who think that plants and this kind of thing cost a lot of money, which I think Patch Plants does a lot. So a lot of their plants will cost about £70 if you want a really nice plant. And I know that you can get things for a lot cheaper if you just look after them and you don't keep repurchasing them and repurchasing new ones because you keep killing them. So I think hopefully by almost switching over to the light side and not dark side, and knowing that we don't need to just keep repurchasing plants just because we can't look after them, that I'll almost then switch the education back to Grow as opposed to just going through them. And I do know a few people that have gone through Patch Plants, but they also never buy from them either. And I think there's almost going to be a bit of a disconnection between what Patch are. So are they just a retailer or are they education? And I think sometimes you have to pick what your focus will be. And with Patch, I think they'll always just be a retailer and maybe just focus on a few videos here and there that can teach you the basics. But what I'm trying to do is teach everyone how to become a proud plant parent.
Would there be an option to avoid that kind of competitive element by going to more local independent businesses, which we've seen like people support during the pandemic as well? That could be one way of like shoring up your base.
Yeah, so exactly. So one of the things for what we wanted to do is the recommended retailers would probably be more local to you. So we could use your location and find people that are around, and then we could recommend plants that are more suited to you, almost how much maintenance you can give them, or maybe if they've got offers on at the moment, that kind of thing. And it's something I think almost with horticulture, it all just ties into one and into being this like lovely world of supporting everyone and being green and that kind of thing. So I definitely want that to be part of the business.
Hiya. My question is a bit more specific on the product as well. I've mostly because it's one of my pain points at the moment as a new plant mom. I recently bought a plant on Conservatory Archives, especially now that I have an online shop. World is great. But they have really sort of on their website, they have really good sort of guidelines on how to take care of your plants, or just like really tangible sort of tips on how to do that. Does the app that you're developing include that people can sort of instead of you scraping the information from particular websites as well on the specific plants, that people can actually self insert crowdsource that information and add to your product in that way?
Yeah, so one of the things that I think makes us different as well is this community element. So we wanted to make it one of the things that I thought of it was like Strava, but for plants. So it's going to be like an achievement almost. And I think everyone loves that. Like you take a picture of your plant on Columbia Road and then it's how much has it grown, this kind of thing. And I think, I'm not sure if you can see, but in the right hand side, there's that little home button there, and that will be your jungle. And that's where you can put all your plants. You can click into them. It'll show you plant progress with the picture that you have uploaded, any notes that you've taken about the plants. And hopefully then we'll be able to go into different people's profiles. So then you can see your friends, anyone that almost you think is really good at plants, and you can look at what they do and what their plants look like. And hopefully then, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's plant directory there, and we've got a trending button here, and then it'll trend with what plants everyone's buying at the moment, what's the rage, maybe in different seasons, everyone's buying this, maybe you want to buy that. And yeah, I think that'll be a really good aspect.
It was a great pitch, so much so I felt the blues that you were talking about while I looked at my struggling Jane right in front of me. Yeah, it was such a good pitch. I'm struggling a little bit, but I guess you mentioned about particular customer segments and kind of selling to millennials and stuff. I guess if I just wanted to get a little more clarity on that's quite a large market and it's not monolithic, it's diverse and different incomes and all the different types of things. So I guess I was just curious about if there was an early adopter profile or people that you were going to start off with, and if so, what are kind of some of the characteristics and behaviors that you might imagine that they would have?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so when I was actually doing kind of the customer segments, yeah, it is really broad. And first we put it down to 3, and we called them, it was the millennial gardener, it was the late bloomer, and it was the entertainer. So it was these 3 different aspects of someone who wants to have a really great barbecue and they want to show all their plants. Again, that can be anyone. Then there's the millennial who wants to take pictures of them, wants loads of foliage, wants a monstera, cheese plant, that kind of thing. And then there's the late bloomer who maybe later on in life realized, actually, I really want to be one with nature. I definitely know people like that, but they never learn anything about plants then. So now they're just picking it up and they don't know where to go, and maybe they feel a disconnect with the internet. I think for me, early adopters, when I really honed in on this, it'll probably be, it'll be the late 20s, so between kind of 25 to 29-year-olds, I think, with a bit more income. They've been in their job for a few years. They are willing to spend on plants and then willing to look after plants and willing to spend money to look after plants. And they also love going to markets, probably city-centric, so live around London or Manchester, big cities like that. They don't have that much time and they just need someone to tell them what they do, send push notifications, need to water it on this day at this time, and then 2 weeks later you need to fertilize it. When do you need to do that? And then you can also just set that to your time frame. So if you don't want to water it in the middle of the day, you can set it for 7 p.m. when you get home, and it'll tell you every 2 weeks to do that, and it'll adjust to everything else that you need as well.
Great answer, and I love the profile names.
Thanks.
And just to add to that, like, brilliant presentation, really loved it. Yeah, I need to kind of get back into my plants. Like, I'm lucky that my other half is looking after them, because if it was just me, yeah, they'd all be, without your product, they'll all be gone. So just adding to Joshua's question, are there a specific set of plants that you are going to focus on in line with that audience segment?
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. Sorry, no, go for it.
No, so actually, when I've looked, so I've done a lot of research and I've really delved into these plant forums, and honestly, they're like shocking. I didn't realize these things existed. So there's like different forums with hundreds of thousands of people on them, and every day they're talking about plants and like obsessed with plants, have hundreds of plants. And I was like, wow, this is just incredible. And through talking to them, I got a lot of them to actually do a lot of the customer research as well. Had some interviews with those guys, and their big thing is that they do get loads of different plants, and a few of the apps. So I think there's something called Picture This, that you can take a picture of a plant and it doesn't recognize them at all. And I think for me is that the one thing is being able to take care of your house plants, knowing what it is, knowing how to take care of it is the problem. And I want to solve that completely. So as soon as you get this app, I don't want to bring it out and it's not ready. It needs to do what it says. And then hopefully we develop benefits after that. But yeah, I want most plants on there that everyone knows they can have access to. And if there's nothing, if there's new variations, then hopefully, you know, I want to get plant experts, maybe from that group. They'd be great. But yeah.
I mean, one sort of strategy that you can use is actually use the subreddit for plants. It has nearly 100k followers as well, and Reddit is the one community where you can actually get a lot of user feedback, and that is really frank and honest as well. And one of our sort of ventures that we've invested in the past has really developed all of our user research, which is focused on sort of gaming and fantasy as well. And a storytelling app, but she had really great success of doing that just with a Reddit sub community.
Yeah, and I think as well, just another point to add is just that it's kind of crazy because I feel like that's the only place that they have at the moment. So what you see is this like really old age way of communicating on this Facebook group where basically, I'm not joking, every day people post the same questions and there's no way to like have different threads or like different subtopics or anything. Just every day people take a picture of a plant and ask what this is, honestly every day. And then there'll be 200 comments underneath it explaining what it is, or someone will take a picture of a brown leaf and say what's happening here. And I just think if I can get a product out quick enough and literally just put it into these groups, there'll be so many different signups because they're always looking for something like this. Literally every day they ask, is there an app like this?
I think eventually an emergency clinic would be very much appreciated by a lot of us as well. Like, what is happening to my plant? Yeah, the anxiety levels, you know.
Great, thank you guys. Great pitch, Summer. Thank you for. It's always great when I see how things have progressed, like over the last 6 weeks or so. I've seen the process like build up over time, and this is actually my first time seeing some of these pictures as well. So great to see the progression. We are gonna wrap up soon, but I've had a few questions come up from the audience that I'm just gonna ask really quickly. All of them directed to you, Summer. So if you don't mind sticking out for another kind of 5 minutes or so. One of the questions from Mark Stanley. Hello, Mark. So the question was, does Grow allow people to share pictures of their plants? Is there more of a social aspect?
Yeah, so literally the fourth solution in our 4-problem statement is the growing community. So it will be literally, I'm not sure if you know about Strava, but it's that you can, if you do a run, you can map that run and people can go onto it and they can see it. And that's kind of where the idea was born. And you can get, so that social element will then come on and you can get different achievements for it. So for example, if you bought that plant and then it'll know the date that you got the plant, and that could be retrospective as well. And then you can get, for example, a 1-year badge that'll say that you've owned this plant for a year, and you can share that badge. And you know how it is with Instagram. I'm sure everyone will be sharing these kind of badges, but you can, within each plant, in your plant profile, you can click on and see all the pictures that you've taken and uploaded yourself, and that will be a part of the plant journal. And one of the kind of the customer feedback that I had about a different app was that there was no way to put in dimensions. So people were trying to plant journal, but it was kind of a bit useless because you weren't seeing how fast your plant was growing or how much progress it's made. And that was one thing that I wanted to tie in that's really easy to do, but also makes such a big difference for people in the community.
Sweet, thank you. And you had another question from, where's it gone? From Stephen. He's going to ask if Grow would also work with vegetables for people growing their own vegetables.
That's so great. I have thought about this because someone asked me that about herbs. I think that would probably be version 2. just because, again, there's so many plants. But yeah, definitely I want to take over the world with plants. So hit me up about different vegetables. We've got some tomato plants growing at the moment, and I can't wait to see them grow.
Wicked. And finally, there was also, I think, more so a bit of feedback than question, but from Leander. Hey, Leander. So yeah, great pitch. I'll be interested in knowing if you're flexible on the business name. Grow seems to be a bit saturated. It could be easier for your marketing and brand awareness to get more of a creative, unique spin on it. Yeah. So, question is, are you married to the name Grow?
I'm not married to the name, definitely not. I did try to think of some different names, but I think when you're kind of trying to do a 6-week accelerator program, like the name is the last thing that you think of. So Grow was actually the first thing that we thought of, and I kept it at that just because it was kind of easier, but I'm definitely willing to go through the motions if it is something that I think would be more fitting. But again, I think it does really kind of tell the story of what it is, and I think right now it's a great name, but if I do come up with anything better, then yeah.
Awesome, thanks, Emma. Okay, great. So thank you all attendees, thank you panelists. I want to say, yeah, thank you to all the teams. You've been amazing. If everyone could hear, there'll be loads of applause, but unfortunately the attendees are muted. But yeah, thank you teams. You've done so amazingly over the last 6 to 7 weeks. Your pitches were amazing. I've actually got a lot of requests for people to be put in contact. I actually got an email that I just checked now. So yeah, I'll send an email over with people that want to reach out. And yeah, thank you to the panel again. Thank you, Dama, Lisa, Josh, Emma. Really great questions. I think it really challenged the teams and made them think a lot more about the business models and ways in which they can progress with the ideas post-program. I also want to say thank you to our partners. Thank you to the GLA. Thank you to OneTech, and also thank you to FounderVine, who, you know, they ran the weekend event which sourced, I say sourced, but a lot of our cohort came from. So yeah, I think Cecil's on the call, so thanks for all your support with the program as well. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to leave the chat function open. So if people do want to reach out to the teams to ask any questions, to exchange email addresses, etc., yeah, feel free to do that. I'll leave it open for the next kind of 10 to 15 minutes. Again, if you have been tweeting, continue to tweet at This Is YSYS and use the hashtag FoundersDoor. We usually would have some type of party after this, but yeah, of course, unfortunately that can't be the case here, but yeah, I hope you do continue to network and reach out to each other. And if there's anyone, and food yet. So yeah, if you do want to be put in touch with any of the teams, any of the founders, also feel free to email me. I'm going to leave my email address in the chat, and also yeah, if you want to connect with anyone else out of the attendees, feel free to leave your LinkedIn profiles, etc. Great. Okay. So again, thanks everyone. I'm going to wrap up now. Again, like I said, I'm going to leave the session open, so feel free to use the chat function for the next 10 to 15. Thanks, guys.